Hello and welcome back, and Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you are doing fantastic. Today is going to be another episode of Menke Makes. We're going to be switching up the format a little bit. I'm going to be doing more of a voiceover style during this, so let me know whether you like it or not in the comments below. But this is going to be a perfect kind of Christmas style Menke Makes, at least for me. It's really cold up here, so we have a nice venison roast that we're going to be doing today. I'm super excited for it. We harvested a local deer here this year, and we're going to be making a roast with it. So it's fresh, wild game, and there's nothing really better than that. And so I'm super excited to get into this. If you like this video, smash that like button, the subscribe button, and that bell notification. Stay tuned when I post more Menke Makes, but I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. All right, here we have our beautiful venison roast. For those who don't know, venison is whitetail deer. This is harvested locally by my father this year, so I'm super excited to eat it for Christmas. We're also going to be pairing it with some potatoes. These are just brown potatoes that I peeled. We're doing 3 of them because we got 3 of us in the family eating for dinner. We also have some onions that I kind of just chopped up into some bigger chunks. We're going to be breaking these down and caramelizing them in our cast iron pan in just a little bit here. We're also going to be adding some fresh garlic, a stick of butter, and then some fermented ginger garlic that we made in our last Menke Makes. So super good ingredients, easy, simple. For our juices, we're going to be adding beef broth, and then spice-wise, we're pretty much just sticking with salt and pepper. I might add a little bit of some dried herbs that I have from the garden. We're also going to be adding some bacon that I just cooked up. I might eat a couple pieces, but we're going to basically be breaking this down into some smaller chunks that we will be putting into the roast, and just kind of adding to that flavor profile a little bit more. So to start, we're going to take our roast, and I'm just going to douse it with some olive oil. This is actually an olive oil infusion that I made with some basil. But we're just going to douse it with some olive oil, and because what we're going to be doing is giving it a nice sear on our cast iron pan before we roast it, get a nice little crust on it. And again, we're just developing different flavors, and so we want a nice coating of oil on there to be able to give it that nice sear. And then we're also going to be adding quite a bit of salt. So we're gonna add as coarse as salt. This is a little bit too coarse. My salt grinder broke, but it's not a huge deal. It's a nice thick cut of meat, so you're not gonna have to worry about it getting too salty, especially in a crock pot. So we're just gonna give it a nice dousing of salt, and that's going to really help the searing process when we go and throw it on our cast iron pan. So we're just gonna dump a little bit of the bacon grease into our crock pot. No point in letting it go to waste. And since venison is quite a lean meat, it is a wild game, it's super lean, I have no hesitation to add a bit of fat into the mix. So we're also adding the stick of butter, and that's just going to help soak up with the potatoes, with the meat, and it's going to be a really rich, hearty Christmas dish. So we're just going to dump in, this is about 2 pounds, a jug of beef broth. So we're just going to dump that in. You can use beef stock. If you have a homemade stock, that works too. Pretty much just a liquid, and then I like to add a little bit of what I have on hand for drink that night. In this case, we're adding a little bit of beer. I do like to add, this is kind of an experiment that turned out to be pretty good, and half of an orange, and I'm just going to kind of puncture it to let the juices come out. Key to a lot of dishes is salt, acid, and fat, and so this is going to help add some of that acidity into the mix and give it, again, another nice depth of flavor. So now that we got our cast iron searing, scorching hot, so I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of oil onto the pan itself, and just kind of get it prepped to throw our nice chunk of venison on and get that sear going. I'm just going to place it on the side that we put the salt and the oil on, just to kind of get that going. And then while that is starting to sear, I'm just going to kind of douse the other side of the meat with a little bit of oil and salt as well. Now it is important, I did let this meat come up to a little bit more of a room temperature for about 30 minutes before I did this. It'll help the searing process a little bit, I feel. I don't know, you let me know what you think in the comments. Again, a nice heavy dousing of salt on the other side. And what we're going to do is just kind of rotate this as it sears, and checking on it, making sure that all sides get a nice sear, and a nice crust and caramelization going. All right, so as it's seared for a few minutes, you can kind of see on the one side there, it is starting to brown up. I'm kind of working it onto the other side here quick, just to try and get those ends, and then we'll flip it over here in a second, and we'll kind of speed this whole process up so you can see how that goes. It's a little smoky. I open the windows a little bit to get the fan going, but again, this is just gonna make the meat. In my opinion, I really like doing this with my bigger cuts of meat, even if it is getting slow cooked. It just kind of adds all these depths of flavors to the roast itself, in whatever way you're doing it. And it's really not cooking the meat, and this is a pretty big chunk, so we're kind of doing this pretty quick, but it does take a little bit of time. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of caramelize the onions down. What I did is I added a little bit of white vinegar and a little splash of the beer I was drinking into the onion mix, and just kind of slow cook these down over like 15-20 minutes until they became nice and caramelized like you see here. Then what we'll do is we will take those onions and just kind of toss them into the pan that we already placed the roast in. After it got done searing, we just kind of toss the roast into the crock pot, and we'll just dump the onions in beside them. Give everything a nice little stir since the butter is still kind of melting at this point. And we'll throw in our bacon bits. Save a little chunk for yourself. And then we're gonna add our potatoes. At this point, I did already add the ginger garlic paste and the fresh ginger in there as well. We already tossed those in off camera. Next, we just kind of put the lid on. Then we're going to go down and we're going to set it for 12 hours. You can do 8 to 10. 12 is a bit much, but I just like to go slow and low and let it ride itself out. And we'll check it back in 12 hours. All right, so here we are 12 hours later. I'm super excited to look at this. It looks fantastic. Everything on the top's got a nice brown coloring to it. We're going to kind of move stuff around a bit and see how it looks. I'm going to be bringing this over to my parents' place, so we can all eat it together. But I do want to check it out. The orange just got real mushy, which is a good sign. It means I kind of broke down into the mix. I am going to add a little bit of this beef stew packet to kind of help thicken up the juice a little bit and add a little bit more of a stewy flavor to it. Nothing too crazy. This is just going to add a little bit of flavor, but mostly kind of help thicken things up a little bit. And I've been using this type of packet for many years since I was a kid, so I do like the flavor it provides. We'll just kind of incorporate everything, move stuff around. Try not to move stuff around too much because the potatoes are actually falling apart right now, and I know the meat is too. I did actually break a potato there, so I got to be careful, but I want to just kind of move everything around a little bit, and then we'll get it ready to plate. And so you can see here, after straining the juices out, separating the potatoes and the roast, this is what we have left. This is our Christmas roast, Christmas dinner. It looks fantastic, and I cannot wait to plate it up and give it a taste. So let's get right into the venison. All right, so here we have our venison, and I can't wait to break this open here. So we'll just kind of see how it cooked. You can already see the juices starting to run out. Again, this is deer, so it's a wild game, so there's really no fat in it, very little fat, but you can just see all the nice juices, the slow cooked. It's just falling apart. It really doesn't take much work from that fork to just kind of peel everything away and into some nice, delicious juiciness. So it turned out fantastic, and this is kind of our plate at the end of it. We did fry up some shrimp, so we have a little bit of a surf and turf action. So super delicious, super fantastic. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope your guys' meal was as good as this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Menke Makes. And keep in mind, you can do this same type of recipe. It doesn't have to be venison. You can do it with the beef roast as well. Give me a shout in the comments below if you end up trying it, what you think. And if you liked it, smash that like button, subscribe button, the bell notification. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Merry Christmas. Peace. Love. We'll see you later. Bye.